So, I'm fully aware of the things that we had to put in place and that we've put in place. And like I said, the journey that we're going together with the communities that help raise these funds. It's not just a case of, yeah, great job, we've raised these funds. No, guys, come on the journey with me. This is what I've created. This is what we've created.
Yeah, it's huge to take that risk because, like you said, one thing goes wrong, you got to dot your I's and cross your T's. You got to make sure the people you're working with are on the same. One bad act could end your like you said, political career before it really even willing to take that risk and just give it a chance. I think says a lot about your character because if you're not a risk taker, you're not really going to get anything you want in life.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this is why, when I put a post out a couple of weeks ago, and I put, I'm really going to be focusing on the crypto community, and also web, blockchain technology. We need to take advantage of blockchain technology. It's so transparent. It's so good. You know, that I don't think we're ready for it just yet, but we need to take advantage of it. And when I put a post out saying that, I'm going to be supporting the crypto community, and I put a hashtag AM, which means Ant Middleton, for LM. Within and that, naively, within bloody, I think, minutes, an AM for LM coin came, and I was quite flattered by it. I was like, wow, the community's getting going straight away. And I think they've raised $50,000 for me already, which is phenomenal, which is really really good. Um, and then my brother jumped on board, Forge on there, like, you know, that's someone that's done that for you, and very much take it as that. And I'm super grateful for it. And the funds that are gonna, that are gonna go into the campaign funding part, like, again, are all gonna be super transparent, and this will be part of it. But you know, we have I'm not in control of that. So, again, that's why I thought to myself, right, we got together and we thought, let's launch our own supportive token. So we've got we worked on the back end of it. We know exactly what's going on. Everyone's been transparent on we've even been, so geeky. We've been handing over passports, driving licenses to each other. It's, we're in this from from the beginning. And again, it's the community and it's the trust, but it's a case of, right, listen, guys, this is burning bridges to get into politics. And I don't want to start this off with like we just mentioned, with anything that could go wrong. And again, I love the longevity of it. I love the slow burn of it. I love, because it is there's going to be parts where all of a sudden they go, bloody hell, Ants jumped on as a member of parliament, or Ants. And I'm so sporadic like this, and I've got a great military political strategies, and I'm a military strategist at heart. You know, it's about the campaign isn't just about, getting about. It's about shaking up the system. It's about rattling that cage, and it's about it's really yeah, it's about shocking the establishment. That's the one. It's about shocking the establishment and letting them know they're there. And I've got plenty of moves coming up in the near future. So that's again, it's just explaining the whole ant token that we have, myself, my brother, and Forge have put together, and the whole AM for LM coin that's out there. Really appreciative of it. Has nothing to do with myself. They've raised a lot of funds, which I'm really really grateful for. And again, for anyone that's invested in that, thank you so much. But I don't have anything to do with that. So I just want people to be fully aware of that.
Well, I know you. Yeah, it's definitely good to actually go out and launch your own campaign or support token for your campaign before other people keep doing that. And because then obviously, if you're not in control, you never know what their true intentions are. And typically in Web3, a lot of people don't have good intentions, so it's good to just spearhead it yourself. And I know you mentioned like the team that you're working with and stuff, passing over driver's licenses and passports, and yeah, it's a great step to make sure you're just secure on that end. But I think it would take a special kind of stupid person to crossing ex special forces guy like yourself, I would highly recommend not to do that if I were anyone. But yeah, it's better to be safe than sorry. But I see we do have
I've already what the Forge team don't know is I've already got a surveillance team on their houses.
crosshairs pointed at the front door.
I'm in danger.
I know you're not, mate. I'm joking.
Stash, sorry, you got your hand up. Go on, Fred.
Yeah, I just wanted to, say first of all, Ed, it was great to meet you this week. Leading into this, just really started following you. It was as an American, I was proud yesterday watching this march taking place in the streets over there, culminating with you getting on the stage. I watched what you said, and a lot of things touched me. So I got a couple of questions. A lot of the stuff Soul Saver already covered. But one of the things I would say is I know that you spoke highly into your Christian values, and that's one of the things just completely lacking right now. Just values in general, but the Christian values that are such a big part of both our country and yours. So if you want to speak into that, and the second part is kind of a joke, but once you become mayor, can Soul Saber and I get a key to the city, please? You don't have to answer that now. Just think about it. Just possibility. Just throwing that out there. But all jokes aside, I was just proud to watch you yesterday and just proud to be a part of this. So I just wanted to get your comments on that, though.
Yeah, no, mate. Thank you for that. And sitting right at the top after, I would say, actually aligned. Actually, it is after because I want to really focus on the people first and foremost. Is preservation of culture, which ultimately is in such a bad way in the UK that it's actually goes a bit deeper than that. It goes into preservation of life. Our culture, our British culture, with many cultures, with most cultures, is attached to religion. With British culture, it's Christianity. And with other cultures, it's Islam, it's Hindi, but with British, it's Christianity, and we've lost sight of that. We actually have taken our eye off the ball. We've been a bit complacent. So again, holding ourselves accountable as Brits, we're partly to blame for that. Because when we see our Christian values and beliefs being taken out of schools from a young age, when there's no longer assembly in the morning, when we used to go in, sit down in assembly, have a hymn book between two people. I didn't know I was singing Christian rhymes, but we were singing, Kumbaya, my Lord, when a night one is Spurs, keep the oil in my lamp. I didn't know they were Christian songs, but ultimately what was happening when we were young, they were drilling our identity into us. That's in our DNA, that's in our culture. And Christianity is intertwined in our British cultured foundations. It's intertwined in our foundations on our society that was built and that thrived, I would say, up to about 20 years ago when it started to decline. Our calendar year, from our Easter holidays to our Christmas holidays, our calendar year is based on Christianity. Our weekdays, Sunday, it's a day of rest. It's a day to go to church. It's there, but and when it's slowly, it's almost like a death by a thousand cuts. Over the last 10, 15 years, the school assemblies have stopped. It was great. Talk about singing together. Like I said, I didn't know what I was singing about. I didn't know that was being proudly drilled into me. I was just having fun in the morning, an hour of messing around, my brother behind me singing louder than everyone else, my mate pulling the book off me, elbowing each other, being told off by the teacher. That first hour of assembly when we say our prayers and then get our milk, and that's what our culture was all about. It's the same with our Christmas nativity plays. Then they got taken out of the school, and all of a sudden preaching Christianity or talking about Christ, people got offended with it in the UK. You couldn't really talk about things like that. It was numbed down to a point where when your culture starts to get suppressed, your identity starts to get suppressed. And when you've got no identity, and I know this slightly from leaving the military, when you've got no identity, all of a sudden you have no belonging. And when you've got no belonging, guess what it does? It fractures communities, it separates people, it divides people. And I really believe that this has been done by design over the last few years to really, really suppress our culture. And in the UK, and Great Britain, we have this horrible, it's the way at schools as well. Schools are brainwashing people, saying, and our governments, by saying that we're a multicultural country. I love multiculturalism. I love to travel to countries because I love to experience their culture. I love to embrace myself within their culture. I respect their culture. You can learn a hell of a lot out of people's culture. That's why I travel to that location. It's the same with England. People used to travel to England, and I hear this from foreigners. I hear this from people that used to travel into London, which don't do it anymore. They haven't done for the last decade or plus. They used to travel in because they could experience British culture. But now you can travel into London, you can see British culture, you can see the Big Ben, but you just don't feel it because it's just not there anymore. Again, because it's been suppressed. And when I say, we're not a multicultural country, because if the Great Britain is of all cultures, then that means we're cultureless, right? And when we're cultureless, that means we have no identity. And here lies the problem, okay? I say, no. I say, we're a British cultured country. We've got British culture is British history. We're rich in history. We've got great traditions, great principles and values. And when again, when that's suppressed and you've got no identity, then, what culture are we? What culture do we adhere to? What values and principles do we adhere to? In some cultures that we're attached to some religions, some things are horrendous to what is attached to our culture and the religion attached to our culture. So I say we're a British cultured country, which is Christian principles, values, and morals. But we have a multicultural society, and I'm happy with that. As long as you adhere and you respect and you accept our British cultured umbrella, which comes with boundaries and limitations and laws of the land. As long as you don't step outside those boundaries, then guess what? You'll be absolutely fine, because our culture is accepting, it's tolerant, it's loving, it's empathetic. There's no real reason for you to step outside of the boundaries. If you do, then everyone should be treated exactly the same, because guess what? You've come into our country, you've come into our culture. But the most important thing is the shelter that British umbrella culture provides. That shelter provides you with fairness, it provides you with democracy, it provides you with being able to go to a court and defend yourself, and and be proven innocent, being innocent before being proven guilty. It allows you to, it allowed you to walk the streets safely. It allowed you to opportunities. And all of those have gone because of the whole suppression of our British culture. And I'm sorry to rabble on, but I just wanted to sort of break it down in layman's terms, because you take away our culture, you take away our identity, take away an identity of someone, it's going to create confusion, it's going to create frustration, frustration into anger into violence. And that's where the UK's at, and I think America's there as well. We really have to really be proud and not feel like a monster for being proud of our culture, and also being proud of our religion, because the religious side is sort of going away of our culture, and we need to reinstall that, because that's where our principles and values and morals come from.
Yeah, we have a saying over here. We probably stole it from you guys, but if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And I think that just kind of aligns with what you're saying. So yeah, I was just touched by, you said something similar in your speech yesterday, and it really moved me, man. So the other part, real quick, speaking to the Web3 part, and I think this is critical because there's a lot of young people that we speak with in Web3 that are over in the UK, and that's the cool thing about Web3 is it's worldwide. And they say there's a lot of regulations and laws over there. And I know you touched on it's part of your movement, but I think it's a fantastic step for you to, launch the support token coin. And I don't know if you want to speak into that a little bit more, but I think a lot of the people in this audience would want to know because I'm sure there's some here from the UK or in the regions around there that are just forced with regulations. There's all kinds of sorts of things, and we have a little bit of it in America, but I know it really hits home for people because to truly have freedom, like you're fighting for, we have to decentralize our finance. And so, if you want to speak into that, please do.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll pass on to my brother as well. But I was speaking to and again, it's about freedom. It's about controlling um, what you've worked so hard for. Um, it's really important that you can maintain, firstly, gain control of your financial assets, but then them. In the UK, we're taxed so highly. And it's not necessarily, and with crypto and especially with blockchain technology, whether that's smart contracts, what it does is it eradicates, in a way, if it's done correctly, it eradicates corruption. If you started putting everything through a smart contract and you started using blockchain technology, then all of a sudden it's like, right, where can, because every political government, there's an element of corruption. So when it comes to the blockchain chain technology and smart contracts itself, I reckon it's because, I'm very, very sure it's because it's so transparent. And don't get me wrong, there's human error going into it first of all. But again, that's one element of a thousand elements that's available now for corruption to take hold. So I've always been, and like I said, I started off really interested in blockchain, smart contracts, and blockchain technology years ago when I started investing in businesses because it's very transparent. The crypto side, again, it's almost, I like to put power back into the people's hands, and then community is so important. If you, back in the day, if you fucked over your community, the community dealt with each other. And I know that can't happen nowadays, right? Because you don't know who's there, and it's like, but if you've got a good community, and again, like we have here, um, we can rely on each other, and we can put the power back into our hands, therefore back into the community, and therefore we can gain control of what we need to do. If someone fucks you over, then right, they're no longer in the community, right? They fucked me over for a couple of $1,000. Well, guess what? It's cost me a couple of $1,000 to get them out of our lives, to get them out of our community. When I really started going deep into it, and especially into the decentralized crypto space, it's like any other community. You're gonna have your wrongings. You're gonna have your people that mess up. You're gonna have. But guess what? If we can tighten up that community, so within that community, people can be dealt with and can be, and if there's a way of really, bringing that into a more transparent light, then this community has got so much potential. It's got so much potential, and I liken it to when emails first came out. When the internet first came out, it took time. People were like, "Why the hell do I want to send an email? I can walk to this." It took years and years and years for the internet to really, really develop. And with the crypto space and Web3, the genie's out of the lamp. The genie's not going anywhere. So why not use it, or try to tame the genie in some kind of way where it can be beneficial to the people, it can be beneficial to the communities, and it can help put control back in the people's hands. So that's what I'm really interested in, and this is what I keep harping on about when I'm having these political talks. And I'm like, guys, the genie's there. That genie's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That can float around. Why can't we use it for these communities? Why can't we use it to best serve the people? So again, I like to think that I'm a good enough leader where the team around me is what's really, really important. And I will have an SME, a couple of SMEs on board when it comes to my internal integral team. I'll have a couple of crypto Web3 SMEs on board, so I can really hit hard on that. Delegate. That's what a good leader does. Delegates, makes decisions, and allow them to do that. My area of expertise, I'm a subject matter expert in safety and security, and law and order. So that's what I will really, really focus on. And now having, having an interest in knowing what the potential of the Web3 space can do. Like I said, as part of my integral team, my internal team, I would have a couple of SMEs when it comes to the Web3 space.
I just wanted to tag on to what Ant was just saying there, is his brother here. So what we've done, which is common knowledge to anyone who's able to sort of follow the transactions. So the team's allocation of 30% of the token has been locked. It's been locked for 6 months. So the allocation of 30%, which is allowing the token to have some sort of security and trust. You don't want, we can say what we want to say, but people are going to say, well, you've got access to this, you've got access to that. We've taken the 30%, which was our entirety of the supply upon launch, and it's been smart contracted locked. You can visit this via the website and .support and follow the links, but it's been locked for 6 months. More than likely, as soon as that unlock happens in 6 months, we'll probably just relock it again, along with any further investments that have been made, in order to bring some trust, stability, and strength to the token. As Ant said a dozen times, the key here is longevity. It's about really rattling the cage, as Ant put it, so that people can see, do you know what? That people who don't know, they can see, do you know what? It can work. This blockchain, this wild west of Web3 can be trustworthy, and it can help support a great cause. So I just wanted to mention that to the people that down below that might be listening in, that know a bit about crypto and Solana. So you can follow the link on the website. You can see the 30% supply is locked for 6 months, and as I've reiterated, it will more than likely just be locked further upon that unlock. So along with any further buys and lockups. So I just wanted to just clarify on that for you.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's
think as
awesome.
well,
And that
Mike.
really,
Sorry.
sorry.
What was important as well on this is the reason why we wanted to do to lock it as well is because, like, I'm really interested in smart contracts. So I said to my brother, well, how can we implement smart contracts within this as well? And then when obviously the team were like, well, listen, to get loyalty and trust on board, but then we're crossing over the crypto space with the smart contracts. It just goes to show that we're trying to cover all angles. So what I'm saying when I'm talking about my manifesto about smart contracts, blockchain technology, and crypto, it's sort of hopefully people that dig deep into this will go, they're using everything that they're talking about, if that makes sense. Sorry to butt in there.
No worries. I was just going to give you one more compliment I almost forgot about. Speaking of smart contracts, I was a big fan of your shirt. You had the flag on the front, and you may be the first mayoral person ever that had a Solana logo on the back of the shirt. So that was a great touch, and we were all proud in that moment. So thank you. That's pretty awesome.
I can't listen. I've got to hand it over to my brother Michael. He had them made up, so Mikey. But listen, the shirts. You know what? The t-shirts. You must get more of those made up, Mike, and put them on the ant.support, because I've had so many people reach out to me about those t-shirts. So we need to get some for you guys.
The t-shirts and the caps, no, definitely. We'll be getting a bunch of, we're going to be getting a big old bunch of those made up, and we'll probably introduce, I'm just firing from the hip here, but we'll probably introduce an aspect, again, sticking with the smart contracts, where a holder will be able to sort of apply for a t-shirt or a cap or something. And there's plenty of merch and things that we're going to do to help bring a bit more limelight to the project. So yeah, no, great. It was great to put the Solana logo on the back there. I'm glad you like that, Sash. Yeah, I was proud of it myself. I thought, let me put this little cheeky little Solana logo on the back.
Yeah, I literally was texting everybody I do. I was like, this is amazing. Look at this. So it's good on you for that. I don't know, Soul Saver, you want to move around and take some questions? I know we have Bethany on the stage, and I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, Bethany, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you? I watched the entire rally the other day, and I guess just so taken aback that so many countries are actually dealing with such similar issues as us. I personally kind of avoided politics for most of my life, and over the last 5 years, just really dove headfirst. And I guess, borderline obsession to kind of catch up, but you get kind of like in your zone of like just what's going on in your country. And I didn't really realize that there was so many similar parallels in so many other countries till I saw that rally, and it was just such an absolutely beautiful thing to see. So I guess given that, my question to you is, living in America, I see so many parallels to what's happening in the UK. We have similar fights, albeit different solutions. What do you believe to be the biggest threat to people as a civilization, and more specifically and geographically to the UK? And how do you want to fix it?
For me, it's definitely it's a culture issue. It's not an ethnic issue. It's not a racial issue. It's a cultural issue. It's certain cultures. It's a cultural takeover. Certain ideologies, and we have a huge problem with extremists. Now, a lot of people say to me, "And what is an extremist?" And let's talk of religious extremists. Religious extremists are people who take the scripture, manipulate it in a negative way to create divide. So I say that again, religious extremists, whether you want to call them terrorists, it's taking the scripture, manipulating it in a negative way to create divide. Now the scripture was always, and whatever scripture, whatever religion you're into, the scripture has always been designed so you can read the scripture and you know you won't understand near enough all of it, but you'll take certain chapters, whether it's the Roman chapter 12 verse 21. You'll read that chapter and you go, and it will make you feel better, or there's something that you're going through that you can use the scripture in a positive way to better your life and to create unity, so you can share that along with someone. That's what the scripture is always about. So and I mentioned certain, with most cultures a religion is attached to it. It's a cultural difference that I believe is the huge problem in America, and I know for a fact is in the UK. And then again, when you break that down, the culture down, is where do the principles, values, and where do the morals lie? With what religion do they lie? And again, with every religion, there's extremists, but some are way more extreme than others, and there's certain ideologies within certain scriptures that fortify their position, that can't be questioned, or can't be changed. So definitely in a long way, it's definitely a cultural situation and problem, and that's why your culture is so important. Your identity. I talk about British culture all the time, American culture. It's so important that you preserve that, because once that goes and that gets suppressed, and ultimately that you have no culture. There's certain cultures and ideologies and religions out there that can't have that. They replace it, and they take over. So it's definitely, for me, preservation of culture. And then I sort of put it in layman's terms with people. I say to people, when the shit hits the fan, what do you always go back to? You go back to the foundations, don't you? And British culture, the foundations of Great Britain is intertwined with Christianity. So what do you go back to? Let's go back to the values, the Christian values, principles, and morals that our country was built on. And we're at a stage now where it's been suppressed so much that we've had to get to this, because now we've woken up. Now, I encourage people, and I'm guilty of it. I say, when you walk past the church, go in there, give a couple of quid, a couple of dollars over, just show your presence. Start, because we've taken our eye off the ball when it comes to our culture. We've got complacent with it, and there's certain religions and again ideologies that don't allow that, and that, you know, if something's neutral, they're coming and they take over.
Yeah, that's amazing. I definitely see, and I think the thing that is baffling to me is the fact that Christianity seems to be the only religion that it's okay to attack. Like if you were to attack any other religion, you'll be condemned for it. But they basically kind of applaud people that attack Christianity, and it's baffling to me. I
Absolutely, the suppression phase. That's what that's the whole idea, and this is how you take over. You suppress something enough that, you know, you suppress a culture enough that it loses its identity, and then after that, that's where the replacement or the takeover takes place. And you're right, you're exactly right. It's really strange how it's you know, it's we've allowed it to happen. It's almost been, like I said before, you know, death by 1,000 cuts. We are on cut 990, you know, and now we're just like, whoa, you know, the takeover phase is almost happening. So again, it's had to get to this, Bethany, for us to wake up. You look at you know, I was at the rally yesterday, the freedom of speech rally, you know, and I walked at the front, and, you know, front of millions of people, and not once did I feel unsafe. Not once did I feel, you know, I felt a huge surge of pride. And as I was walking through London, and I said it on my speech, as I was walking through London, you know, I felt the whole culture come alive, and that's because of the people that were there. You know, the patriots that were there, that, you know, they had their crosses out, they had their flags out, and, you know, it's almost like, you know, it's started, something started, we've woken up. So when I look at the situation, I go, yeah, we're in a bad situation, but actually, you know, for us to unite like we did yesterday, where you had, you know, close to, I would say, 2 million people on the streets of London, is phenomenal. And it just goes to show that Christianity is still very much alive, our culture and our identity is still very much alive. But that doesn't mean, you know, that doesn't mean that we have to we have to you know, come in and, you know, but we have to give a show of force so that replacement doesn't take place.
Great. I just have one other question. I don't want to take up too much of the stage time here, but I know for me specifically, what kind of opened my eyes and made me pay more attention kind of was a line in the sand was COVID. I didn't know, did you have a line in the sand moment? Because kind of like Donald Trump, like you have an amazing life. You've done so many amazing things that you could just kind of live and ride that out and be happy. But to throw your hat in the political ring is like, you know, jumping into the deep end. What was your line in the sand moment?
The Southport murders. um I don't know if you've heard of the Southport murders, but when um when an illegal immigrant went in broad daylight into a nursery and stabbed 3 young girls, um, aged 2, 4, and 5, and killed them. He stabbed one of the girls 19 times. Um, and even though that was a couple of years ago, not too long ago, 2 years ago, um, I thought to myself, I went abroad and sacrificed so much. You know, my last sort of few years with 3 tours of Afghanistan, very kinetic, to stop these monsters from breaching our shores. And then we've got an open border policy where they can just come in. And when I'm seeing, and I talked about preservation of life at the beginning of this, you know, if we preserve our culture, you know, and we stick to our Christian laws, and then we will, that will have a domino effect on where we will preserve life. And that was because, you know, we we have these you know, these fair laws, and we you know, these values and principles where we protect, you know, the vulnerable, where we protect the innocent, where we protect innocence. And when that happened, I thought, even as much as I have a good life, you know, and I'm filming around the world, you know, I'm earning really good money, I can't sit on my hands knowing that I can make a change. If I knew that I couldn't make a change, then I'd probably accept it and go. But because I know I can do it, and that's the griping bit for me, that's the pull for me. My moral compass doesn't allow me to. And then when I say I know I can implement change, I've got skin like a rhino. I've got an impenetrable mindset. And when I say I can do it, I genuinely believe that I'm the right man for the job when it comes to the next mayor of London. And throwing my hat in. That's why I've got a political career laid out. I haven't, because I know that once I jump in, like you said, those bridges are burned. I'm jumping into the fucking into the pits of hell when it comes to politics, and I'm experiencing it already. I've been experiencing it for the last couple of years, ever since I've sort of dipped my toe in. So that's why I've got that's why I've already got a 10-year political plan and a political landscape. But it's a calling, Bethany. Like I said before, I've served. I remember signing the dotted line to serve my queen and country, and I've done it with such pride and I think about the stuff that I'd done. I wasn't worried about a paycheck. I wasn't worried about not coming home. You sacrifice so much, and if I've done it before, then I can do it again. And I suppose that that's what's bringing me back to London is to serve the people this time round first and foremost, and then get into a position where I can serve the country again.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I just wanted to say thank you for your service, and people forget that you only have the land of the free because of the brave. And also get on that merch train, because if there's nothing that I've learned here in the United States, if you're not selling merch, then like what are you even doing? So but you're going to make
That's
a great,
right.
amazing mayor.
Well,
So
I love it. Thank you so much, Bethany. Thank you.
That's right. So I know we want to get into tokenomics real quick, but one last thing I wanted to cover, because I don't think we touched on it. And I noticed you had some support, or at least mentions from like people like Elon and even like some the Tate brothers and whatnot. I don't know if we want to touch on that real quick before we get to tokenomics, because I think it's kind of an important part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am in personal contact with Elon. He's an extremely busy man, as you can imagine. He's very reactive some weeks, not so reactive the other weeks. But he's shown, he's voiced his support for me. It's in black and white. He's like that, and more than happy. And this is personal from him to me. No third party. He said, "Yeah, I'm more than happy to support your campaign and to help you out." And again, it's just the Tate brothers as well. I know Tristan very well, and Andrew. They're great guys. And those contacts will come in handy. Closer to the time. It's almost one of those where I don't want to burn the fuse too quick. I think when it comes up to me really starting my campaign, and from now till I would say May of 26, May of next year, I'm on the campaign trail. I'm on the funding campaign trail as well. I'm flying over to the States, to DC in October, to meet with some very influential people, because I've got some great, I would say, the most backing from America. Some very influential people who I've just mentioned as well, within with the likes of Elon Musk, etc., etc. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that, so I've got the richest man in the world, reaching out saying, "How can I help you? How can I support you?" Who follows me on X, and who is so involved with British politics, and loves my messaging, loves my values, loves what I stand for. And even when I went over to so I went to the Trump inauguration. I was invited to the Trump inauguration in January, And the support, I was quite shocked because when I went, obviously, you knew all the security, they were all, you know, ex Team 6 and Delta, and you know, good guys, SEALs, etc., Navy SEALs, etc. So, you know, I knew that they would recognize me, but some of the Trump administration as well, you know, they just come up to me and go, "Hey, you're the special forces guy, and you're running for mayor of London." And I'd only had this conversation with certain political parties, with a certain political party called Reform, that, you know, that I was interested in, you know, you know, how we would go about it, and almost how that would look like from a political landscape. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm at the Trump's ball, and you know, I've got some of the Trump administration coming over, you know, going, if you need any help, the Trump administration is behind you. You know, but that's something that I'm going to explore. And what's so exciting about this is, and what people don't realize, is that I was the most upset with politics. And again, this is another line in the sand, actually. When our politicians from Labour, Khan, Lammy, and Keir Starmer, you know, which were slating Trump, and caused a fraction, you know, a fracture within our relationship, you know, within the British and the American relationship. We have been the best, the closest, the most longest of our allies, forever, you know. And and I've worked very closely with the Americans, and I mean very closely. And I used to turn up on ops, you know, and if they're, and I was a primary fires operator as well, and I used to turn up on ops, and two Apaches that would come along, you know, American dudes, you know, I used to control them in the air whilst I was in operations. The relationship that we had, you know, it used to make me smile with the gunships, the hammerhead call signs, you know, in my ROS when I was, you know, they were just, you know, I'd be in a contact, and all of a sudden, you know, hammerhead would ask permission to come into my airspace, you know, and I'm like, fucking hell, here's your ceiling, come in, you know. And you know, those guys, I don't know if you know that basically it's an AC-130 gunship. It's got an artillery piece attached to the fucking back of it. And these guys as well, within their teams, they're forward air controllers, so you could literally hand the whole fucking airspace over to a gunship, and they would control it whilst you're fucking kicking ass on the ground, you know. So not only could they control the ROS, but these guys were, you know, super professional when it came to that part. But also, you know, you get the Apaches out of the way, and you get that gunship going, you know, every 6 seconds. You know, there's just a relationship that I built with the Americans, you know, not only on the ground, you know, cross training with Team 6, cross training with Delta, then hitting operations with these guys, whether it's, you know, from the air aspect or from a ground aspect, you know. Fucking hell, it just, the relationship and the bond that we have, and I say this, that we have, is like no other. There's no other country that comes close to it. And I've worked with many countries. You know, I've worked with the Aussies. I love the Aussies. I've worked with the New Zealanders. I love them. But you know, just that relationship and that respect. And I think it just, and again, I talk about culture, you know, and you know, somewhere in our DNA, somewhere intertwined, there's an American flag there. Do you know what I mean? And it's very similar in America. Somewhere intertwined, there's an English flag there, there's a British flag there, and you can feel it. And that's what I talk about. You know, that's when I talk about, you know, pride, British pride. It's like you feel it. And when that happened with our government, I was so fucking raging. I was so fuming, and I put it on my X. If you go back, scroll through my X, I say it's the biggest political faux pas that in modern day history. I said, you know, nothing to do, you know, open up our board, you know, whatever it may be. For me, that fracture in our relationship, I thought I've got to do something about it. So again, there's the line in the sand here. So it's going back to Bethany's question. That was another line in the sand where I was like, listen, you know, without you guys, you know, I doubt very much we'd still be here, because, you know, having you guys behind us as well is what makes us makes us so good and so proud. So yeah, there we go, mate.
Well, I know I see we have a lot of people that I can tell are definitely very supportive of you. Just looking through the audience, I see we got a lot of UK patriots in here and people that probably want to get involved in the token, want to know more about the tokenomics, and just really probably have never purchased cryptocurrency in their life or have had anything to do with it in general. So kind of to open that up, I would say, before we get to dive in and get too technical and confuse the shit out of everyone, I figured we'd say for like the everyday Londoners who aren't crypto savvy, how would you explain how the campaign token works and why they should care or invest?
Do you want me to jump on this one, brother?
Yes, go, bro. Go.
Yeah, cool. So website obviously ant.support is going to be updated. Like first and foremost, we want to put out that this is a supportive token. It's not for people to sort of, our primary goal isn't for people to invest and think, okay, yeah, I'm going to try. It's not a meme coin; it's a supportive token. But the website will be getting updated with a more layman's simple instructions for purchasing. Going to be working closely with Forge over the next few days to get that updated. But yeah, so we want people just to be able to buy a small bit if they want to contribute, because that's what it is. It's a supportive token to contribute with a small tax. And of course, have some fun along the way. We don't want them to invest anything they can't afford to lose. We've locked the supply that we've got, like for 6 months, as I've mentioned. But yeah, so the instructions will follow on in more detail for the layman person that's never purchased before. There are some basic instructions there, but anyone can feel free to reach out to us. But like I said, it's all about the contributions and getting Ant to where he needs to be. There'll be some perks along the way as well. So we've said, like, for token holders, people who just want to buy a bag and hold on to it, there'll be the opportunity further down the line to potentially meet up with Ant for a bite to eat or things like that and discuss things. So there's going to be merch as well. We're definitely we are jumping on the merch train. That's going to happen. It's going to help. It's definitely going to help with the exposure and things like that. And yeah, so there's lots of things in the pipeline. We're here for the long term, so there's plenty of time as well. But yeah, so just keep an eye on the website ant.support, and over the next few days, things will clarify a lot more.
And yeah, I'd like to jump in there as well, Mike, just quickly. What you said about utility, if there is a utility behind it, but also, when I travel a lot to America, and I'm going to be traveling a lot. And during my campaign as well, because one of my main messages is unification as well. Even though I'll be focusing on my people and my city, I'm going to keep that relationship. That's one of my really important things between America and the UK. So also, I will be letting people know when I'm coming over, and for those that are holding the tokens. I mentioned this briefly to Michael, and he was like, yeah, if you want to put your time in, I'm like, yeah, 100%. There will be, right, guys, I'm going to be in wherever. There's token holders in New York or DC. I'm going to be here at this time, having this sports bar, watching this game or whatever it may be, just generally. I mean, there might only be 2-3 people that turn up, but I'm going to let people know my whereabouts within this community. So we can share a drink together and share a few stories as well. So yeah, I'm going to be very when I start traveling, I'm going to be very very open to that. And also in the UK as well, exactly the same. I'm part of a few private members clubs in the UK. And again, I'm going to be holding spaces. Again, more just, come in and shooting shit and just chilling out. Nothing too formal at all. But it's a case of, right, guys, I'm going to be here at this time. From this time, you want to come and share a few beers with me, come along. So again, I think that'd be really cool. And again, just to having that community sort of feel to it, rather than it's just being a sort of a support platform. It's like, listen, I'm going to support you as well with anything that you need.
Yeah, I think getting that foundation down there and just seeing who the real supporters are gives you the option to just create that exclusivity. We've seen it with the Trump token and the NFTs, just providing access to private dinners and things like that. It really it just makes it worth it. It makes it just something so cool that really opens up the doors for a lot more things. And I wanted to move on to a couple questions real quick. Mike, if you could check the TG chat. And then yeah, I know I wanted to also break down, because I know a lot of people are like, well, the only way to make money off of a token or to be able to support a campaign is, in their head, they probably think, well, the team has to sell the tokens. But when we have technology like Meteora that's in place now, there's these things called liquidity pools, and there's these fees generated by the volume that passes through it. So a percentage of every buy and sell gets put into a rewards section where you can claim it. It's the easiest way to break it down for people. So for those people that are wondering, like, how is this going to support without the team dumping on me? It's where the liquidity pool comes into play, and those fees that are generated by every transaction becomes claimable, and that's how you can support a token without the team having to do any nefarious acts and dump on your head. So just wanted to clarify that for the people that are wondering, or some of the degens that are down there that aren't fully educated on how just liquidity pools and the Meteor integration works. But I know there's a lot of cool things you guys are doing. I pinned up top the 30% lock, as Mike mentioned earlier. That's locked up. That's definitely a pretty massive thing right there. A lot of people don't really do that, so that's huge. I see we do hit.
Just touching on another thing. Obviously, what you guys have just mentioned, and you've just given it a bit more light, Soul Saver, which is great. Is yeah. So we'll be speaking with Forge in the background about the utility of maybe a private chat with a certain level of token holders and things like that, to bring a bit more exclusivity to those people that are really supporting. Yeah, so that's great. Forge, I think I spoke over you earlier. You were about to say something. Was there something you wanted to add? Apologies.
No, I was really just going to kind of tee up the conversation about fees, but that got covered. So yeah, all good. It's just to make people aware that the token can be successful in its objective of helping the campaign without you guys essentially having to sell. Because look, that we are passionate about the cause, and you guys are passionate about the cause. But at the end of the day, we are on a Soul Saver Spaces. This is a crypto Spaces, and the people listening here, they're thinking to themselves, I love your mission. I believe in your mission. Are you going to dump on me? But I think, Saul and then yourself did a great job of kind of explaining why going with Forge and why using the Meteora technology in the background allows us to have our cake and eat it too. So everything I wanted to cover is, really there.
Soul Saver, can you just repeat what you said about that liquidity pool, please?
Yeah, so with how the Meteora pools work, that's why we went with one for our token as well, is because there's fees that are generated from the volume that passes through. So every time someone places a buy or a sell, a certain percentage of that, depending on the pool structure, is going to go into a claim wallet or a claim section where the person who launched the pool can claim that, which would be you guys. So basically, say there's $1 million in volume that day, and 1 to 5%, depending on how the pool adjusts to the market conditions, will go into the claim wallet, and that way the team can claim those funds that were generated by the buys and the sells. So it's not necessarily like typically with like a radium pool or just a lot of the tokens that people are used to. It's like the only way that you can generally make money by being the person that launches the token is by waiting for people to buy it. And as the price goes up, selling it on top of their heads or dumping on them, as the people like to say in the crypto trenches. But with the Meteor pools, that's the benefit, is you're able to generate fees by people buying and selling without having to negatively impact the chart and taking away from the investors and harming them.
Thanks, mate.
And I see we did bring up Katie, and I see she's definitely into politics and in the UK, and had her hand up. So I wanted to take it over to Katie in case she had any questions or anything.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks for bringing me up here. And hi, Anne. It's lovely to be in the space with you. And congratulations. And I heard your announcement, etc. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
I really, really, truly am. And no, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. I've been following what you've been doing, and I appreciate you very, very much so. I do have a quick question though. So with candidates that in the UK that, for example, are using crypto or potentially selling things like private dinners, not selling private dinners, but that is a perk of, to raise money. I think it's brilliant. It's very, very future forward. But in the UK, every donation still has to be declared. And I heard you say that you're officially going to be running for mayor in 2028, which I think is brilliant and good for you. But in the UK at the moment, like, everything has to be declared. So do you think that that is fair and transparent, or do you think that's just another way for these elites to just game the system?
It's a great question, and the difference between, so what happens with the mayoral elections, everything up to 1 year. So normally people campaign a year out. So anything up to 1 year from the mayoral elections, which are in May 2028, so May 2027, everything has to be declared within that year. So you can only raise so much funds. You can only spend so much funds. The whole system basically is on you from that year up. Anything outside of that year, hence why I'm going to be campaigning a couple of years out, is free game. And this is where a lot of politicians or a lot of people they go to work. A lot of people, I'm doing it early. I'm doing it 2 years out. A lot of people go 18 months out, and then they get that 6 months of really, getting into, building the hype and going into certain places and doing their things, being on the ground. And then when that year comes up from whatever election it may be, then that's when things are really, really scrutinized. So I'm trying to maximize as much as I can, but what's where they can't scrutinize it. So what happens with here as well, I'm going to be putting a lot of my personal funds, which I've already done, into this campaign as well. So the whole idea is to potentially fund that last year up to my mayoral campaign out of my personal funds, for example. So and it depends how that's funded and how that's raised, and then that year up to that, yes, it will be, you're right, it will be looked into, it will be scrutinized, and they're very, very on it. But also, and it's been happening for years, and people do campaign a lot longer out. I think even Trump campaigned. I think he kept almost campaigning straight away, wasn't he? After his, but the official campaign, when they go bang, will start a year out. So again, it's just being smart. Again, being transparent. It's not. It's how people raise funds is completely up to them, but how they use it on the year running up to the actual election itself, that's when it counts. So again, just being smart, playing it, keeping my cards close to my chest, but being transparent as well will be a game plan that we get to, and will be fully in place by the time we get up to that year of running. Does that make sense, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you can hear, but I've got a big smile on my face. Yeah, absolutely. But if you ever need anything, like, I'm just at the other end of the phone. Very, very proud of you, and just keep doing what you're doing, my friend. All right.
Katie,
No,
thank you
really, I
so
mean
much.
that.
Thank you. No, I love that.
My
I know you
pleasure.
do.
All
I
right,
know you
bye.
mean it. I can tell. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank
Cheers,
you.
Katie.
Bye.
I just want to piggyback onto that question Katie had, which was a great one. And I think it's important to realize that I think that's the genius behind this support token, in that and no one is actually giving Ant funds. It's just brilliant how the fees that generate from it actually create the revenue, and it's not someone actually giving funds to Ant, which is the brilliance and what's just so genius about how blockchain technology can be used. And that's why we're all here. Us in this space, we're all Web3 degens, as they call us. But the beauty of it is, we've come on to such a great place in this in the growth of crypto, that these creative means can be used to get into politics and other things without crossing any rules or regulations. So I think it's good on you guys, and brilliant in that way.
You got it, mate. You got it in a wanna.
And you know what? I'm just going to add on myself, because I feel like I need to highlight this to anyone who's down there. Is the whole concept of a supportive token with these fees from Meteor and what have you. This allows people to support a movement. Not, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be anyone else. People need to be aware, and hopefully Ant's token, this coin, supportive coin, is going to raise the awareness over time that people can use this blockchain technology for various causes and what have you. It might give it, seeing Ant's token and the way he's raising support, that might open the door for somebody else who might be doing something charitable or things like that. So it's about highlighting the technology and what it's about for people to be able to use it to maximize things for the good, really.
Yeah, I think moving forward, we're going to see blockchain integration do a lot of things like city governance, citizen participation, because the data can't be manipulated. 1 + 1 = 2. It's all on chain. It can't be manipulated, and that's a huge thing we see in politics, especially in certain other countries where I feel like it's all manipulated in some sense, but there's some where there's no fair chance.
That's why they're scared of it. That's why they're scared of it.
Yeah, exactly. I use that as an example for the benefits of blockchain. Imagine a government where you paid. I know this probably won't happen in our lifetime, but imagine a government that received its taxes via the blockchain, and then you could trace the ledger to literally to view and allocate every single penny that they've received. It scares the hell out of them. It scares the hell out of them with the traceability that's involved. And I'm not saying it's going to happen in our lifetime, but the day that people are paying their taxes via blockchain,
it's going to happen, right?
Yeah. But it scares the hell out of centralized banks and things like that. And that's all part of the message as well, rattling up, getting some eyes on.
I just want to get rid of the Swift wiring system. That thing's archaic. It was invented before the internet, but we're still using it for some reason.
Yeah, I think the only reason they wouldn't adopt it or blockchain for things like that is because, like we've already clearly seen, their corruption would be exposed and they'd no longer be able to do what they're currently doing. So, yeah, if they don't adopt it, it just kind of just shows their hand even more. So, I know you. Everyone here is very busy people, so I know I had one other question that it's not crypto related, just general related. I know you've gone from an elite soldier to a public figure, now to a political candidate. What is the biggest personal lesson you've carried into this campaign?
The biggest lesson. Do you know what? It's just being transparent with people, being honest with people. It's we're human. We're gonna get things right. We're gonna get things wrong. It's if you can hold yourself accountable. I find, and I've found throughout my whole career, that if you can put your hand up and go, do you know what? I fucked up, but in my heart of hearts, I thought that that was the right choice. And even if, and you get to a stage where you fuck up, and you don't have to say, in my heart of hearts, I thought that was the right choice. Where people go, do you know what, Ant? We know that that in your heart of hearts, you thought that was the right choice, but you got it wrong. People are really, really forgiving. People are really forgiving if you hold yourself accountable and you go, do you know what? I messed up there. You don't slope shoulders. You don't try and blame other political parties. You don't try and blame the general public, which I think is a huge faux pas. It's, as a leader, if you can just hold yourself accountable, which I think is what people really love with my values and my principles. My life is very trial and error. I get things, I get things wrong, but I learn from them and I move on. And that's what leadership is all about. It's making a decision, going forward with that decision, the courage, the conviction, the courage of the convictions to get it done. And guess what? If you don't get it right, that's not the right way to do it. You re-attack the situation and you find another way to come to a solution. So I think accountability, mate. If I had to do one word, it's accountability. And I love it when people hold me accountable. Because guess what? I love it when people because the problem is fucking right there to be solved. When people go, because in 10 times out of 10, what I love about about the human body is you can't lie to yourself. It's there, and when people hold you accountable and you click in and you go, yes, then guess what? You can tackle that fucking situation a lot quicker, come up with a solution in a lot quicker time than not holding yourself accountable and passing blame. So I think accountability is key, but also, you know, unity, mate. You know, and I talked about, you know, having that identity, having that, you know, that sense of belonging. Identity gives you belonging, and belongings, you know, it forms communities. Communities form unity, and that's a huge part of my message as well. So, but listen, I'm going to hold myself. I want people to hold me accountable when I get into these positions, as I will hold people accountable.
Yeah, I think that's important because nobody gets everything right all the time, but it's just when you go into things having good intentions, it may not work out, but you know you have to know how to pivot, how to adjust. And then there's people that go into things that don't work out, but they didn't have good intentions. It was for a personal benefit, and that's the difference between like a good human and a bad human, and something not working out. The good person had good intentions, just something didn't work, so they had to pivot. The bad person didn't have good intentions, so it didn't work out, and then they point the finger at someone else and try to cast the blame onto someone else, so they're not held accountable. So yeah, I think the
Yeah, but if you
accountability.
have good intentions, and this is a really important part, if you go in with something with good intentions and you get it wrong, it's very easy to pivot and to make it right. You know, because you're almost halfway there. But when you go into things ill-intended, then yeah, then you know it's impossible. It's impossible to even pivot. But when you do, then I found that out a lot when I go in. You know, and it's been a few. You know, go into things with a full heart, best. You know, and then you get it right. You find that you can pivot very very quickly. You're like, oh right. Um, so yeah, you'll find that's a way that is well that you can define integrity within a person. Is how quickly they can pivot and find a solution from what they thought in their heart of hearts was the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's clear as day when someone's a good person. You can definitely tell you're an awesome person and just have good intentions and want to make the change that we need to see in every country, but specifically in London as well. So definitely appreciate you taking the time to be here, taking the time out of your life and making the sacrifices that you're making for just to help benefit other people's lives and to give them the environment that they deserve to grow up in. I did want to
You-
oh,
You're
sorry,
most
go ahead.
welcome, Katie. You got your hand up
I do. I'll be very quick, I
because you were
promise, but
so
even though
nice
I
to me.
shouldn't be.
Good.
No, it's fine. It's just in because I spent most of my life out in the United States, it is only but um respectful to thank people for their service. And I don't know how many people know that before, obviously, you being on TV, etc., that you a former UK Special Forces soldier and everything that you've done for our country. And I wanted to thank you for your service for real life.
Thank you.
And it's very, very important to bring that to the forefront here of the conversation that you don't just come from a place of passion, but you come from a place of experience here, and I really wanted to just remind everybody of that and thank you for your service for our country.
Thank you so much, Katie. And I know there's a lot of ex-military or military personnel on this in this community here in this chat right here. So again, and I always thank people for their service. So whoever's a former veteran, you know, a veteran here, thank you for your service to your country as well. And a lot of people say to me, Andy, you don't thank you. I'm like, no, no, no. I passed on that torch 12, 13 years ago now. And passed it on with pride. And it's only right that everyone that you know signs that dotted line, and like you said, Katie, you know, swears in on that oath, and you know you mean it. You mean it. I remember doing mine when I was 17. I was in tears, you know, putting my hand, swearing, put my hand up, swearing in on my oath, and I was just so proud, you know, just like, wow, I'm going to go and serve my queen and country. Um, it was, yeah, it was a special moment. So thank you to everyone, and Katie, thank you for that. That really does mean a lot.
And before we wrap this up, I do want to remind everybody, pinned up top is the easiest way you can get involved in the support token. The contract address is right there. Copy, paste, do whatever you feel comfortable doing. Make sure you hit ant.support as well for more information. Make sure you're giving Ant a follow. It's very simple to engage and support people, even if you're not able to support by buying a token financially. Engagement, supporting, clicking that repost button, sharing, it goes just as far. And it's the cheapest and easiest way to support someone is by taking a second. If they're making a post, click that repost button. Even if you have 5 followers, 500, 5 million, it doesn't matter. Every piece of engagement counts. Every pair of eyes that you get on a post makes a difference. So just remember to do that and hit ant.support. Grab some ant token if you can, and if you can't, then just max engage and support.
And guys,
And I just wanted to before you wrap.
let's have some fun with it as well, guys. Listen, this isn't going anywhere. It is, I call it a longevity token. Let's have some fun along the way. There'll be some sporadic times when I'm traveling, and I'll just drop into the community and go, right, this is where I'm at, SF style. So listen, thanks for your support, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. I'm here as well. So, any more spaces, anything that needs to be done, just let me know. And I'm more than happy to jump on in this newly formed community that you've kindly embraced me in. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're always welcome back here, man. We'd love to have you back. So appreciate what you're doing as a person, as a future mayor, and just a great human. So I know Sasquatch did have his hand up. Sasquatch.
I was just going to say what he just said. I'm looking forward to doing this again with you, Ant. It's been a pleasure, and maybe next time I can work on you a little bit more to get that key to the city once you become mayor for me and Soul Saver. We're gonna need it.
Listen, it's there. Listen, I'll get that key cut. Don't worry about that.
And yeah,
I just wanted to thank you guys. I just wanted to thank Soul and Soul Saver Sass for allowing us to come up on this platform. You've been a couple of gentlemen, and I just wanted to just pass on my thanks to you guys.
And Forge, guys. Listen, you guys have been fucking amazing.
Forge have been legends.
Bent over backwards to make this happen. They've honestly, it's the credit that we give to, without these guys, it wouldn't have been possible. And they've been doing everything to protect me, to make sure that this is done correctly, and this is done, and the level of trust that we've put into each other is phenomenal. And this is why I've got so much faith in this coin, and we're gonna have so much fun with it. So thank you so much, Forge.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for your vote of confidence and the stuff that you're doing. Not just to have a successful token, but to actually have a serious and successful campaign. We feel absolutely privileged that you chose to go with us, and we're here for you. And a quick shameless plug, I guess. If you are listening to this spaces and you're thinking, maybe I want to launch my own token, and maybe you don't have ambitions to become the next mayor of one of the best cities in the world, but whatever it is that you're looking to launch for, whether it's a supportive token, whether it's something a little bit more fun and humorous, check us out at Forge Deploy Bot on X, and you can kind of see how our platform works. We are unapologetically here for the creators, whether that's in terms of support, whether that's in terms of having a platform that gives you as much power as possible. And, just like Ant and Mike had the vote of confidence in us, we hope that if you're interested in launching, you can take a look at what we do and hopefully take the leap yourselves as well. But thank you to everybody on the call. I really appreciate your time, guys.
And to make it even easier for the folks down in the audience, it's pinned up in the Jumbotron. If you're looking for the direct link to the deploy bot, there it is. It's pinned up top. You can also find it in the comments under this space. And again, appreciate everybody for taking the time to participate, whether you're a speaker or a listener. Every number counts. The more eyes, the more ears we get on this movement, the stronger it becomes. So again, appreciate you, Sass, for co-hosting, and Mike, Forge, Bethany, Katie, and all the listeners down there. Great episode 1, many more to come. And any closing words, Ant, before we wrap this up?
No, thank you, mate. Thank you. So, and Sasquatch, thanks, gents. Really, really appreciate it. Like you said, a lot more to come. Onwards and upwards. Let's preserve our culture. Let's preserve each other. Much love, guys. Thank you.
Let's unite crypto and Web3, not just the kingdom. Thanks, guys.
Yes, Mikey. Love that. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye.
Have a great day, everybody. Stay tuned, stay mooned. See you next time.